parents of Michigan school shooter Ethan Crumley, both sentenced to 10 or 15 years for involuntary manslaughter, NBC News. The first parents to ever be charged and convicted in their child's mass shooting at a U.S. school were both sentenced Tuesday to 10 or 15 years in prison after they faced the victims' families at a sentencing hearing in Michigan courtroom. James Crumley and his wife Jennifer were sentenced one after another by Circuit Court Judge Cheryl Matthews as they appeared together for the first time since they attended joint hearings before landmark trials were separated last fall. Their son, Ethan, now 17, pleaded guilty as an adult to the 2021 shooting at Oxford High School in suburban Detroit and was sentenced to life in prison. Matthew's sentencing decision was in line with the Oakland County's prosecutors had asked for after both parents were found guilty on 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, one for each other of the students their sons killed.
Absolutely. And Adam, I know you're going to go. I'll just set you up and I'll let you go. I hope every single state takes this law, because I'm sick and tired of every single time something like this happens, the government goes in front of the camera and they go, we got to grab the guns. Take the guns, because at the end of the day, that is their goal, is to unarm us. But I think in this case, 100%, I mean, obviously the kid, kid's off. I mean, look at this kid. Rob, can you show a picture of this guy? That is the typical kid that would come, like, when you see that. Weak. Yeah, exactly. But he said, because think about it, there was no, this is what the judge said. The judge just said, she sentenced the parents for failing to take steps that could prevent a runaway train. Judge Cheryl Matthews said, these convictions are not about poor parenting. These convictions are repeated acts of lack of acts that could have been halted. Okay, she go, there was no testimony from specialists, the shooter's state of mind. He said, this is what he wrote in his journal. I have zero help from my mental problems, and it's causing me to shoot up the effing school. I want help. My parents don't listen to me, so I can't get any help. And mind you, they brought him to buy a gun a couple days before the shooting. That's what you get for ignoring your kids. And I think this is going to be a lesson when parents start seeing this, Adam, especially in that neighborhood, that town, that state. You know what they're going to say? I better get involved. If the kid's starting to talk crazy, if he's staying home, he has no friends, and then you go buy him a freaking gun, what are you, freaking nuts?
Adam.
Yeah, look, they're going to get what they deserve. And when this story happened, and I can't remember if it was this shooting or the shooting that happened the next day or the next week or the next month or the next year, because I can't keep track of how many school shootings there are. And I don't know why the schools are gun-free zones. They should be police zones to protect the kids. This culminated with Columbine in the late 90s. And then when it happened under the Obama administration at Sandy Hook, it went off the Richter scale. And we've all been looking for solutions, and we know what happened with Alex Jones and what he did with Sandy Hook. Sorry, Alex, you get a lot of things right. You were dead wrong on this one. But I said in a podcast, when the hell are the parents going to have accountability? And I went off on the lack of accountability in the parents, and the comment section, sometimes it does it, went off on me. How the hell are the parents going to be in trouble for the actions of their kids? How the hell will this happen? I said, something needs to happen for accountability. And you said there was a lack of action on the parents' part. If you're going to raise a piece of shit, if you're going to raise a kid who mows down 10, 20, dozens of kids at school, and you think, and a lot of times the shooter is killed, right?
Yeah, a lot of the time.
And so where's the accountability? What happens there? The only people sometimes left standing are the parents. What happens to them? Now, you might say, how are they going to get in trouble? What have they done? What have they proven to be done to actually save kids' lives? Have you alerted the authorities? Have you put the kid into some sort of psychiatric help? What have you done? Because if you can show proof that you've done something, look, I know that my kid's off. Here's what I've done.
Yeah.
Here are the meds
Would you buy him a gun? Would you buy him a freaking gun?
If you're essentially encouraging or even just sort of looking the other way, you're going to be held accountable, and I'm glad there's now finally some precedent for raising a piece of shit.
And it pisses me off when people say, Adam, do you know how much it's going to cost to put a metal detector or security or a cop in a school? Oh, you mean to tell me the 112? How much have we sent to Ukraine?
Yeah.
The hell with that freaking place. I want. And by the way, the most vulnerable people, our children, are in these schools. No security, no metal detectors, but we're just shipping
Tom,
money
as a parent,
everywhere else.
what are your thoughts?
Well, I have a couple thoughts, and I have an informed point of view because the BizDoc babe, Kim, is a teacher.
That's right.
And she will tell you that from private schools to public schools, you have parents that are active and involved and willing to listen to teachers that say, hey, there's some behavioral challenges here. There's some things going on. And parents that are willing to work with you on it. And then you have parents that are then at home. You have parents that enable and don't control access to the internet, don't control access to, you're just unfettered, access to, mobile devices, looking at whatever, and controlling access to firearms in the home. And then the third category is admitting when you have a teenager that's got these behavioral things, admitting you need help and getting counseling. And there are parents that, she says, I can see it. Says, I can see in fifth graders, parents that are active and are trying to be involved and are trying to work with, listen to the school and then, through counseling and being active with their child and be there. And then parents that are like, the nanny is dropping them off at Carline in the SUV and the nanny's picking them up. It says, and I only get one parent that comes to just a regular grade level counseling. We'll talk about their grades, their progress, classroom behavior, how they're doing, what they could work on at home. These aren't kids that are on spectrum or anything. These are regular kids. And you only get one parent there and they're checking their watch. And she says, I can tell you where these teenagers are going to be the ones where the parents aren't involved. And they're going to wake up at 16 years old and the kid gets suspended for something. Hopefully not a shooting, dear God. But she says, I know the parents are going, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. You weren't active in your kid's life. And I can take you back to when they were in fifth grade and I can tell you what was happening to them. And you were just letting them be willy-nilly at home and read whatever they want on the internet and not be active in their life. And then when your kid had maybe attention deficit and things going on, you didn't admit it and work with counselors to kind of help your kid. And I don't mean just run the medicine cabinet and fill them full of Ritalin. I mean, work with them and find out, hey, the kid's growing up. How much soda does he drink? Is he drinking, oh, he loves Red Bull. Maybe lay off the Red Bull. It's just simple things. But parents own it. Parents own the first line of defense here, and they don't take it.
Can I ask you a question? Because you've done a lot of content on single mothers, kids that are born to single parent households. In my opinion, the type of person that does these school shootings, these are weak, broken kids. You're not strong walking into a school and shooting up kindergartners. You're not strong. So there's a big difference between being a baby daddy and a dad. So you've done tons of content about what it means to be a dad. When you see this story, how does it resonate with you?
First of all, let's go through a case. All right, so the kid is raised by mom and dad that are married to each other. That's one case. Kid is raised by a mother who has a boyfriend that's a psychopath, teaching him bad habits and abusing him behind closed doors, but the biological father is not there. Does he go to jail? If the son is being raised by the father, that is a guy that's going through what he's going through, but the mother is moved on with her. There's so many different scenarios with this that makes me, it doesn't apply in every situation. This should not be used in every single situation if the parents are, because in most cases, if 40% of kids right now are being born to a mother who is like a single
mother.
Yeah, single mother.
Is that the number right now?
40%. It went from 4% to 40%. If that's the case, what percentage of, Rob, can you tap in what percentage of kids right now have dual parents raising them? Divorce happens. Marriage is very hard. It happens all the time. But what percentage? Most children, 70% and 2%, with 63% living with both biological parents. Okay, got it. So that's the number you're looking at right
37.
now. So to me, it's a very technical. To me, it's a very technical situation here because you don't necessarily fully know what. Who is having a negative influence over the other person. And if we're just watching Trevor Bauer, a girl can lie. So the mother says, well, he learned all this stuff from his dad. He never learned this stuff from me. Now you got that whole argument. I don't know. I think it's just a lot of different A lot of bad opportunities opens up for innocent people to go to jail.
And you made a great point the other day. I don't even know if you remember it. You were like, now, I mean, don't get me wrong. I still think if you bought the kid a gun and he's crazy and he's on pills and you ignore him, I think the parents have to pay the price. But you said something the other day, PPD. We were in a meeting and you said, if a kid knows that, he can go, hey, mom and dad, do this or do that, or I'm gonna go kill. And you're gonna go to jail. Now it's like a leverage.
Yeah, but that's
a leveraging. But
great point, Vinny. Yeah. But that's my point about what did they do about it? Did they alert the authorities and say, by the way, I'm raising a psychopath?
Yeah. He's wearing a trench coat to sleep.
Like, exactly. Yeah. I'm worried. I'm not even being like, I'm not even trying to joke right now. I'm worried that my son or my daughter, whoever, might do something. I'm putting this on the record because they're making threats, and I would like this just to be on the record. At that point, the parent is now not culpable for what the kid does. Now, they should still step into the kid's life, but at least they've alerted the authorities. If you don't do anything, and you're raising this kid who's doing this, then yes, you're going to be held responsible, like these people in Michigan.
I think there's gray areas, Tom. It makes me uncomfortable.
This makes me uncomfortable too, but in this case, Pat, the due process played out. They ignored things. Absolutely, and they ignored things. They were living together, so both of them were tried together. They bought a firearm 2 weeks ahead of time. So,
not this case. Not this case. Of course, this case, I'm with it.
You're saying in general.
What are you talking about? I'm with this case. Yeah. What I'm saying is, if this becomes a precedent for future issues like this, that it happens, you go directly to the mom and dad. Bro, what if the dad is not even in the picture?
Yeah.
Well, then if he's not under the roof and he lives in Bolivia, then, how can you try him?
I agree with him, but here's the thing. Do you think this is going to do you think this will lower the mass shootings? I'm not even talking about on a.
I think so.
In that state,
I think
you're not going to see. I guarantee you, in 5 years, the mass shooting in that place is not going to happen.
Let me tell you, that change starts within, and all it takes is one.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, all it needs is one parent to hear about this and say, you know what, he's little Timmy out there. I'm worried. Let me do something. It starts with one.
Oh, this probably has already saved a bunch of lives.
I'm just saying, this saves lives.
Big time.
Okay,
yeah, because
I'm happy about that.
Because now you're forcing them to get involved if they weren't. 100%.
Two things. If it leads to firearm safety and control and counseling and identifying kids, those two simple things. If it leads people to say, man, we got to, we have a Second Amendment here and we're going to protect our house, but we're going to keep things locked up properly, that's a win. Number one, because the house is still protected. They don't have to give up their Second Amendment rights. And the child doesn't have access to the firearm. And second, if somebody somewhere says, you know what, I admit it, my child's got an issue, we need counseling, that's a win.
Yeah. I can no longer remain in today's Democratic Party.
Tulsi Gabbard says she is no longer a Democrat. A potential Tulsi Gabbard VP.
Where we are being told that we just have to comply and go along with whatever they say. American people are smarter than this. However, we must remain vigilant to recognize their propaganda for what it is, pure lie. Unfortunately, we live in a time where free speech is under attack. Whatever they say goes, and we have to just follow. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology. Taking on Kamala Harris on a debate stage before, I would look forward to doing that again.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.